Okay, it's 12:34, so that's as good a minute as any to start. So, good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, if you are joining us from very different time zones. Um, I am Dr. Blevin Bowen. I'm the Postgraduate Director for Politics and International Relations for our campus MA courses, and this is a talk for you about our department and our courses, and hopefully we'll give you all the information you need in terms of choosing your postgraduate studies with us. If you could go to the next slide, please, James. So that's my name there and my email address. I will let my colleagues, James and David, just introduce themselves briefly as well.
Yeah, well, I should probably go first as I'm listed next there. So I'm Dr. James Campbell. I am the PGT Director for our history campus-based programs, and I'll be talking about those a little bit later on.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Strachan-Morris. I'm one of the co-directors of distance learning for Hyper. I also run the Masters in Intelligence and Security, and this is Will, who has decided he's going to join.
I think Will has cut you off, David. Will definitely doesn't want to share you with the audience today.
He doesn't know, but he does want to be involved.
So thanks to David and Will there, and also to James. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and hopefully will be enough time for you to ask any questions. Also, please bear in mind that this session is going to be recorded and will be viewable online for others afterwards. So please do be aware that you are being recorded. And if you have any questions, you are also free to use the text chat function on MS Teams. So please do use that, especially if there's something quite relevant that we're talking about on the slide. We might be able to field it there and then. But you can also hold any questions until the end if you'd rather ask it orally as well. So please do make use of those functions if you'd like. Okay, next slide, please. So, University of Leicester. If you don't know us very well, we are a university in the East Midlands of England in the United Kingdom. And we have quite a good reputation in terms of the various rankings in the UK and internationally as well. So we are in the top 30s of the Times Higher Education World University Rankings for 2024. We also were we were actually 30th as a university in the Research Excellence Framework, the UK government's way of measuring the quality and the impact of the research delivered from the University of Leicester, which informs our teaching here at Hyper as well. And very recently, we were awarded the gold rating for the Teaching Excellence Framework. So the quality of our teaching got the highest bracket as well. So that demonstrates our ability to deliver very high quality research and teaching. And as postgraduate students, you'll get exposed to quite a lot of both of those things. Next slide, please. So why study a master's in history, politics, and international relations? Well, hopefully you already have answers to this as you are into the application process already. But in terms of our thinking as to what a master's does for our students and for careers as well, there's always a wide range of options, especially with our degrees, which allow a very large range of transferable skills. So many of our students end up in all sorts of careers and walks of life afterwards. So when we get asked, what sort of careers are these degrees useful for? It's really difficult to give a very short answer, and I'm at risk of losing all my time allocated by going on about this. But this slide is just a good snapshot of the kinds of places where the skills and the knowledge that you learn on our programs help you target. For many, it's a pathway to a PhD, but for others, it's about learning a subject-specific area that they really want to target a career in, such as perhaps security and intelligence work, or perhaps just having just an interest in the field and wanting to deepen your knowledge further and when I was an MA student, I didn't have a clear career plan, and then I got trapped at university and made a career out of it as well. So many MA students just stay on for the love of the subject, and also to try and study something different, or to broaden and deepen in a particular area as well. So that makes for a very diverse student body, and that leads to very interesting conversations in the seminar teaching, and the discussions that we have on our courses, because there are people from all walks of life, from students fresh out of bachelor's to older professionals as well, who have returned to education. So it's a very diverse mix, and a much more international mix of students than what we normally have on our undergraduate programs as well. Next slide, please. So why study with us in particular here at the University of Leicester? So if you are a returning student, the pretty big deal, of course, is that you get 20% off the fees. And that is quite a significant sum of money. And if you are also drawing on the postgraduate loan or the master's loan from the UK government, if you're a UK resident, that means that more of your loan can go on supporting you throughout your master's study. So it's a more affordable master's if you are a returning University of Leicester student. What we also offer on the campus programs for history and Pol are also, I think, pretty much entirely seminar-based teaching classes. So there's no real lecture programs or no compulsory lecture components on our classes. It's all based on reading and discussing the readings as a small group in class. So seminar sizes will range between 5 to 15 typically, and very rarely you'll have maybe upwards, up to 20 at the very most. So they're very small classes, and you get to know your fellow students very well. The teaching is different on the distance learning program, but I'll let David talk about the whys and the hows of DL in due course. But on the campus, it's all very small scale classroom teaching, which really leads to more in-depth and intellectually challenging conversations, and more enlightening ones as well. On the campus programs as well, all our MA teaching staff are full-time and research active as well. So you get a real opportunity to talk to people who are experts in their fields and are research active, and that gives you access to cutting-edge research and insights in their areas. So in terms of our unique strengths, in politics and international relations, we tick several subject area boxes. So as well as sort of the general political theory and international relations as a wider discipline, we have experts in security studies. So my background is in war studies and also outer space. So we do traditional security. David is an expert in intelligence studies. But we have people who work on critical security studies as well. We have parliamentary politics experts, electoral politics. We have regional experts who specialize in the United States, Africa, South Asia as well. We have ethical normative theory experts. So we have a lot of experts who can do gender studies and statelessness, migration, and organized crime and international relations, and a lot on political theory as well. So there's a lot of classical political philosophy that you can get into, especially for your dissertations here on our master's program. I don't know, James, if you'd like to just say a bit more about the uniqueness in history at Leicester.
Yeah, I can do. So likewise, we have a broad range of expertise among the around about 30 full-time members of staff we have on the history side of the school. We have a number of world-renowned research centres in the school: the Stanley Burton Centre for Holocaust and Genocide Studies, the Centre for Regional and Local History, and the Centre for Urban History. And all of those centres have a number of academics working with them. We have clusters of PhD and master's students, and they have a range of specialist resources as well, including their own library collections, archival collections that students can work with too. But our expertise goes far beyond those centres as well. As you can see on the screen there, it stretches across a very broad chronological period from the medieval era through to the present. And we cover most parts of the globe as well. We have clusters of experts in American history, African history, people working on various parts of Europe. We have experts on Chinese history as well. So whatever your interests, we aim to cater for you.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. Next slide, please. And I believe this might be a slide that you can carry on with, actually, I think.
Yeah, I can. So it's worth noting, too, that we have a really vibrant postgraduate community in Hyper as well. On average, around about 50 master's and PhD students entering the school each year. This is on the campus-based side of the school. And they have a number of different events and activities that students can become involved with through the year. Some of these are very much academic focused. We have lectures, conferences, seminars taking place on a regular basis, organized by academics in the school, but sometimes by students themselves as well, investigating topics that they're particularly interested in. The research centers that we've mentioned previously organize regular events too. There are also, we have the new History Lab, and indeed a new version of that organization called Hyperlab, which is a group of students. It's an organization run by and for students, providing social and academic events and an opportunity to get together and get to know your fellow students on the course as well. And I think all of these things are really important alongside your timetabled classes as well, in helping you integrate into the university community and to support you with your studies as well over the course of the year.
Thanks, James.
I'll move to the next slide for you, Vadim.
Yeah, and I think it's my slide again. Yeah. So, yeah. So onto the actual academic subject matter. So these, as if you are applying, if you have applied for our programs, you'll know these are the three programs that we have. So international relations, international security, and human rights and global ethics, and the requirements are 2-1 or above in a poly-R or a closely related degree, so history, human geography, sociology, archaeology, media, law, for example. And we do get lots of students who are quite new to international relations from those subjects in their master's year as well, so again adding to the interesting diversity of the student body. And whichever program you're interested in or you've applied for, the way things work on our 3 degrees in campus poly-R programs is that the only differences are which modules are your core modules, and that your dissertation has to be connected or related to the core focus of that degree program, of that module. So if you're doing human rights and global ethics, PL 7089, Politics of Human Rights, would be a core module. You have to do that module. Your dissertation would then have to have some strong sort of ethical or normative political theory dimension to it, then, to make it about human rights or global ethics in some way. Your other modules, you can mix and match as you like then within, or beyond that core module. So outside of the core module, you have access to the same modules in politics and IR and history as the other modules on the poly-R campus programs as well. So you get a lot of opportunities to mix and match as you like with what we offer on the campus Hyper postgraduate opportunities. Next slide, please. Or if you can keep clicking right. Sorry, I think the animation orders didn't quite translate correctly. Thank you. I think that's the last click. Yeah. So just to give you a broad snapshot of then the modules. So you'll see at the sort of the first ones on the left there. Those are the core modules. So depending on which one, which degree that you do in poly-R campus, one of those 7161, 7168, or 7089 will be your core module. Only one of those will be your core, as well as the dissertation, which runs throughout the year. But then you can pick and mix from a number of other modules, and these other modules are option modules, and here are the ones we either are offering now or have offered very recently as well. So The other modules in PolIR are US foreign policy, global ethics in practice, and my own module, which I think is very, very good, but I would say that, is astropolitics, space policy, and international relations. So it's my own research-driven module where I teach. But most of the other modules, especially in the politics and IR modules, are team taught as well. So you get a really good mix, or an all-star ensemble, really, of what our staff offer collectively with their own research expertise in certain areas. And you can see in these modules the diversity in PolIR, where you can look at international affairs in the IR in the IR module, IR after the Cold War, where there are seminars on US hegemony or the decline of it, the rise of China, the European Union as a global actor, a new Cold War with Russia, contemporary issues in Africa and international relations, the role of Latin America in world politics. So it's a bit of a whirlwind tour of international relations after 1991, looking at different parts and themes in the world as well, in world politics. Politics of human rights looks at political theory as they apply to human rights. So it gives you a conceptual foundation in the topic of human rights, which then help you then apply it in the following module, global ethics and practice, in semester 2, for example. International security gives you a conceptual foundation in security studies, both traditional security related or traditional military related matters, or perhaps broader security agendas such as environmental security, human security, and other critical security studies approaches. And that really gives you the foundation in semester 1 then to explore different modules. And because we are a single department or a single school of history, politics, and international relations, you are able to choose a number of history modules as well. And it's bureaucratically very easy to do that. So when you choose your modules, there are a number of other modules I can choose from, and there are examples of option history modules that we have offered in the past there as well. So we have history modules about cities and history around the world, modern US history, and also genocide studies as well. But we can hear more from James about those in just a second. If you do the Human Rights and Global Ethics Masters, and again, remember, this is just for campus. At the moment, you'll have options to do some campus law modules as well, examples of which are there on the list as well. So if you fancy doing a bit of more applied law stuff to complement your Human Rights Masters, that is a popular option for many of our students as well. Next slide, please. And just to give you an idea of what many of our students end up doing for the dissertations, and again, just to show you how much freedom you have to pursue the subjects that interest you in PolIR. And these sorts of subjects would apply for our distance learning dissertations as well, because it's the same staff that will be your supervisors on the dissertations. So things like EU security to extended nuclear deterrence in Japan and West Germany, to Labour Party foreign policy, Sikh separatism in India, NATO and Russia, UK government policies towards Romani gypsies, international order and genocide, universal healthcare and human rights concepts, and also the international politics of sport, which is a very interesting and emerging field, and an increasingly popular one with many of our students as well. So that is just a very brief snapshot. So what sort of things that we can support you in doing. And, there's, of course, much more than we can cram into this slide in this one talk. But that's just to give you an idea of what our students end up focusing on for their dissertations. And in terms of dissertation supervision, you are allocated a supervisor quite early on in the process who becomes your point of contact to work on your dissertation. And in terms of the campus dissertation supervision, you are expected to meet your dissertation supervisor at least 3 times. But many of our students talk to our supervisors much more than 3 times as well. So that's a sort of benchmark we're dealing with, which we're very happy with. So next slide, please. I think David.
Yeah, this is me. Yeah. So our distance learning courses, as the name suggests, are all taught entirely online through our virtual learning environment, which is called Blackboard. Some of you may already be familiar with. So there's no requirement for you to visit the campus, but obviously students are very welcome to visit, and some of them do. You can come and use the library, you come and use any of the support services that are available on campus, and you can meet with academics. And really, our distance learning courses are designed for sorry, yeah, pop-up cat. Are designed for either professionals who can't take a year off to go and do a master's, and particularly people who are working overseas or who may be engaged in shift work, for example. But it may also be suitable for recent bachelor's degree graduates who have gone into work but want to do a master's fairly quickly, or who perhaps for whatever other reason can't afford to spend another year on campus. Then distance learning part-time may be the way forward for you. Can I have the next slide, please? So at the moment, on our distance learning master's programs in Hyper, we have about 300 students, and they are based all over the world. Quite literally, some of them in conflict zones. We have students who are studying with us from Ukraine at the moment, and they have a very varied career. So we have military personnel, we have private security people, we have police officers, diplomats, teachers, lawyers, basically anybody you can think of who is sort of working in politics, international relations, security, humanitarian work. Are engaged in our courses at the moment, and for that reason, when it comes to applying for the course, obviously we prefer people to have a 2-1 degree in what we call a cognate field, politics, IR, history, or whatever. But we do also accept professional experience in lieu of a degree, and as I'm the admissions tutor, and I make the decisions on those. So if you don't have a degree, still apply. We may still be able to accept you. But on the distance learning courses, engaging with your fellow students is, of course, an important part of the learning process. You know, it's an opportunity, first of all, for these professionals to reflect on their experience in the context of the literature and the theory that we teach on the course, and to talk to each other about it. But also, if you're new to the field, it's a great way of combining that theory with practice and learning and networking with professionals as well. Can I have the next slide, please? So the course structure is slightly different to the campus MA, in that the MA course consists of 2 core modules and then 2 optional modules, and a 15,000-word dissertation, which is the same as the campus MA. The regulations around it are exactly the same. It has to align with your award title. You are allocated a supervisor, as Blethyn said, who will be one of our campus staff, who we try and align as much as possible their expertise with your topic. You have the same supervision meetings, but these often take place online or by email. And you are also supported throughout your dissertation by a dissertation module that you will do alongside your other modules that help you prepare for the dissertation. We also allow people to sign up to do a postgraduate diploma, which is 4 modules, so that's 2 core modules and 2 optional modules. And we also allow people to sign up to do just a PG certificate, which is 2 core modules. And you can see there that the 5 courses that we run at the moment: international relations and world order, the politics of conflict and violence, human rights and global ethics, and security, conflict and international development. And you can see there the 2 core modules for each of those, and each core module runs once per year. So you'll do 1 in semester 1 and 1 in semester 2. The course that is slightly different is the one that I teach, Intelligence and Security, and that consists of 4 core modules that you take in a set sequence. So you'll do intelligence, key concepts and debates, intelligence techniques and tradecraft, intelligence failure, and then intelligence ethics in that order, and then you'll do your your dissertation. We allow full-time entry onto our courses. This is something fairly new. We've just started last year. And if you do that, then in your first semester, you'll do a core module plus an optional module. In your second semester, you'll do a core module plus an optional module. If you're on the intelligence course, then you do the first 2 modules together, and then in the first semester, and then in your second semester, you'll do the 2 modules together. So that's the basic structure of the course. If I can have the next slide, please, I'll explain in more detail just how distance learning works. So the overall concept is very much the same as a campus MA. There are no lectures as such, so there are no set times when you have to be online to listen to somebody speaking. We have seminars, but these are replaced by online discussion forums, which basically what you'll do is you'll write up your contribution and post it onto the forum, and then you will reply to any other students' contributions. Other students will reply to yours. So basically that allows people to study these courses in their own time. So whenever you've got a couple of hours in the day, for example, you can log on and do a bit of the course, or at weekends, or whenever you have time. Each module is structured exactly the same, 10 teaching weeks, and then 5 weeks to write the final essay. You have 6 assignments. 4 of them are what we call formative, which help you build your academic skills, and this is particularly important for people who haven't perhaps done a degree before. And then there are 2 that count towards your grade. The total study time per module is 300 hours. In terms of support, you'll be allocated to a personal tutor who will stay with you throughout the course. So that's somebody you can contact if you need any support with the academic side of life, or if you have something perhaps happening in your personal professional life that you need assistance with, or that's impacting your course, and you need to talk to somebody about what you can do about that, or about the structure of your course. If you want to get advice on selecting optional modules, or you've got some dissertation topic ideas you want to chat through, you can talk to your personal tutor. And we have a mitigating circumstances process, because we do accept that because of so many of our students are professionals who some of them are in conflict zones or complex environments. We have a process in place to support personal issues, health issues, or work issues. So you can get extra time if you need it for assignments, or you can suspend your studies and come back. All modules are taught through Blackboard, as I said. You do the courses in your own time. There are no compulsory online events or lectures, but we do put on online events. So we put on study skills workshops, and we put on seminars or webinars on various different topics. All of the materials that you will need are available electronically through the University of Leicester Library, so you don't need to worry about that. We do recommend that you buy some of the books that are perhaps core books for a particular module or course, but these will also be available free as ebooks through the library if you need them. And then application process online through the university website. But if you have any questions about that, you'll see my email address at the end of this, so you can contact me. And we have 2 entry dates. So in October for full-time and part-time students, and then in January we have an entry date for part-time students only. And then if we have the next slide, I think that might be me done.
Yes, I think it is. So I will pick up now to talk about the history programs. And I might start before I come to the information on this slide with just some of the logistical issues around our campus-based programs. Following on from what David's just been saying about DL, all our campus-based degrees start in late September, October, and they're 12-month programs. So we have 2 semesters in which you take your classroom-based modules, one running through from October to January, and then another from mid-January through to May. And then over the summer months is when you write the dissertation, which is submitted in late September. So it really is 12 months from start to finish. The degrees can be taken on a part-time basis as well over the course of 2 years. And I'll say a little bit more about how that works as I go through the details of our history programs, of which there are 3, which you can see listed on the screen here. So we start with the MA in history. This allows you to pursue your own interests in studying history. There are 4 taught modules that you would take over the course of 1 year on the full-time program, or 2 years if you want to study part-time. There is a core module which all students take, which is called Historical Research, Historical Writing, and that's designed to really provide you with all the tools you need to pursue historical scholarship at an advanced level. So research skills using different types of archives, writing skills, how to develop your argument, how to engage with historiographical debates. And on this module, we also make a real effort to give you an opportunity to engage with the broad range of staff that we have in the school, to expose you to lots of different types of historical scholarship, lots of different types of source material, and not just textual sources either. We look at material artifacts from concentration camps in the Second World War, for example, to everything including bed sheets on which political prisoners in the Soviet Union wrote about their trials. So we try and expose you to a range of different types of history with which you might not be familiar, but also to try and build on the experience you might have either from earlier degrees in history itself or related disciplines. Aside from that core module on the MA, you really have 2 options. One is to pursue one of 3 pathways that we offer. So we have specialist degrees focused on Holocaust and genocide studies, local history and urban history, and they are linked to the research centres in those subject areas that I mentioned a little bit earlier on. And if you take one of those pathways, there are 2 modules, 2 core modules focused on each of them that you would study, one in each semester of the year. Alternatively, you can take a range of different options and really construct the degree as you would like to pursue your own interests. And I'll come to the options available in just a moment. We also offer a Master's by Research in History. Now, this works a little bit differently. In that the dissertation or the research project part of the degree is worth more of your final grade. So on the MA history, the 15,000 word dissertation effectively counts for 1/3 of your degree, whereas on the Masters by Research, you write a 30,000 word dissertation and it counts for 2/3 of the overall degree. Here you take 2 taught modules. You'll take the HS 7010, Historical Research, Historical Writing, in semester 1, alongside an option module of your choosing. And then after the end of the first semester in January, you then work exclusively on that 30,000 word dissertation, and you've got a lot more time there to undertake the research you need for that project. And finally, we have the MA in Urban Conservation, which works rather differently, as we'll see in a moment, in terms of the modules that you take, but is similar in that there are 4 taught modules over the course of the year, plus a dissertation. And this program is recognised by the Institute for Historic Building Conservation, so it provides a particularly good route into careers in conservation, in heritage, and related sectors. So 3 different degrees to choose from on the history side of the school. In terms of the options that are available, the modules that are available. We have first the core modules for those 3 different pathways. So if you're interested in taking the Holocaust and Genocide Studies pathway, you look first of all at Holocaust and examples of genocide from a comparative perspective, looking at events not only during the Second World War, but a series of different genocides around the world through to the end of the 20th century. And you also take a module looking at the legacy of the Holocaust in Germany from 1945 to the present. For local history, you begin with a module, families and communities in England and Wales, and you can see the dates there running from 1600 to 1900, introducing important themes and topics in local history scholarship. And then you actually work backwards in the second semester. We move earlier to the medieval and early modern periods, looking at issues of landscapes and identities. For urban history, we start with a sweeping survey of the city in history over the course of 2,000 years in semester 1, before taking a comparative approach to a selection of different cities in the second semester, looking at issues of globalization and urbanization. Aside from those core modules, which can also be taken as options if you're taking the Masters by Research or if you're taking the MA without a pathway, there are a number of additional optional modules as well. Very broad in their focus, again from the medieval period, with a particular focus on the source material available for studying medieval history, through to the United States in the 19th and 20th centuries, and we look at debates in the US over some of the ideals of freedom that underpin America's founding in the late 18th century, and how the country has lived up to and very often struggled to live up to those ideals over the subsequent centuries. We have a module on global history, which brings together some of our academics working on different parts of the world, India, Africa, Latin America, Australia, and to look at the development of global history as a field over recent decades. There is an opportunity to get experience working with a heritage organisation in or around Leicester as well. And finally, I should just dwell a little bit on the last module listed there, which is called Directed Reading. This gives you the most flexibility of all to pursue your own interest. It's a module where you pick the topic and you are able to work normally on a one-to-one basis with an academic with expertise in that subject area. And between you, you decide on the readings and the discussions that you will have over the course of the semester. So again, this might be a chance for you to study something that you plan to pursue in more depth for your dissertation, or it's an opportunity to look at an aspect of history that's not covered in one of those other optional modules. And then just finally from me here on the urban conservation, this is taught through 4 core modules, which reflects the slightly more vocational focus of this degree. You take the city and history module in semester 1, providing an overview of historical developments in the urban past. And then you have how buildings work, looking at architectural history and structural engineering, before in semester 2, turning the focus more to conservation specifically and its development in urban environments, and also a module on conservation in practice, which again allows you to get that experience that you can take forward into later careers. I'm slightly conscious of time here, so I think that draws to a close the slides we have on the various subjects and degree programs that we offer. There's another slide here. We should talk to you a little bit about finance, which Bledin mentioned right at the beginning. I don't know if you want to continue with that, Bledin.
Yeah, sure. So we're not sure how much you as our audience know these things already, but I've already mentioned the 20% discount for returning University of Leicester students, and interestingly, that also applies to De Montfort University graduates as well. So you can come to University of Leicester and have that discount even if you did your bachelor's degree at DMU as well. But importantly, if you are thinking about how to finance yourselves, if you haven't got the means, the UK government has the master's loan, and that works in a similar way to the UK student loan system. So if you are eligible for that as a UK resident student, the last time I checked, I think the figures were just over £12,000. And the way that works is basically you get the money into your account and you use the bulk of that to pay for the fees, and any money left over just goes into your pocket then. So for most, it would go towards helping to cover living costs for that time. And as James said earlier, bear in mind, an MA program full time is a 12-month program as well. Also, because our teaching calendar mainly finishes on the campus programs by the Easter break, after the Easter break, compulsory campus requirements actually decrease quite a lot. So some MA students do stay in Leicester for the full 12 months, but many actually may go home or take up a summer job elsewhere, etc. So there's a lot of flexibility over that summer as well in terms of options and thinking about finance there. There are some scholarships available as well. So there's the Masters Excellence Scholarship, which I think the deadline is still open. I think the competition is still live for that. I lose track of some of the deadlines sometimes, but the information's there, and you can also search online for College of Social Science, Arts, Humanities, University of Leicester scholarship. There are also sanctuary scholarships as well, and there's a full list that you can look at the University of Leicester website as well. And I think that's it.
Can I just quickly jump in on the fees? I should have spotted this sooner, but on the distance learning courses, the fee for the UK students and international students is the same. So for distance learning, if you're an international student, it's the 9,300 is the same as the UK students, but that's just on the distance learning courses.
Thanks, David. And sorry that wasn't included on that slide. This is our first joint DL and campus presentation as well. So thanks for raising that. That was us. Those are our contact details if you have any further questions after today. But now's your chance to ask any questions you have for us. So if you have anything you'd like to know more information about, and you can type your question in or use the raise hand function if you'd rather ask it directly. Or any questions for David's cat? Cassandra.
Hi, I was wondering, I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, but for the history masters, what would the dissertation topics, how would you sort of, yeah, what kind of things would the dissertations be on? Is it quite flexible, or is it?
Yeah, well, I'll take that. Though I think my answer will probably apply to the Poly-R side as well. But yes, it's entirely flexible. It's completely up to you. We try to support you as far as we can to write a dissertation on whichever topic you would like. The dissertations we've had in recent years have covered a really broad range of topics, everything from photography and fashion in 1960s Africa. There've been micro histories of a British family in 17th century Rutland, I remember, had ties to colonial New England, I think. There've been projects on fascism in Britain, Chinese industrialization, whatever it is that you're interested in. As long as we have academic expertise here in the school, we'll support you to do it. There's sometimes an issue around the source material that's available for your project, so we need to make sure that it's feasible and that you are working on something where you have every opportunity to achieve the very highest marks. But as long as we are happy that the project is feasible, we will work with you on the topic you're interested in.
Thanks.
Thanks. Any further questions? No? If not, please do get in touch with us at those email addresses if you have any further questions. So contact me for the campus politics and international relations MAs, contact James for history campus MA queries, and then contact David for distance learning politics and IR MA programs as well. So I guess I'll bring this session to a close. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that this has been a very useful session for you. And we hope to see you either in person or in cyberspace as graduate students here at the University of Leicester very soon. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.